Good evening, everybody. Sam here, United People's TV, with a bit of an impromptu late sweaty stream here, as I just ran home from a comedy night I was at. Luckily, Manchester United with a comedy today. Not luckily, actually, really. Manchester United have now tonight decided to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after the board held an emergency meeting following that 4-1 defeat to Watford, compiling the misery that Manchester United is in at the moment, on top of Liverpool, on top of City. We all knew that it should have happened after City. The board decided not to act, but the club have now decided to act. I'm going to run through and explain to all of you all of the stories coming from Fabrizio Romano, coming from Samuel Luckhurst from the Manchester Evening News, coming from Laurie Whitwell and Adam Crafton from The Athletic, coming from Simon Stoning from the BBC. It is happening. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be sacked as Manchester United's manager. First of all, what's your immediate reaction to that? You let me know in the comments below, but let me run through all the stories for you. Let's get straight into it. Let's waste no time here, because there's been enough wasted time in Manchester United right now. We all know that. Fabrizio Romano here with the main story. Manchester United's board have decided to fire Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after a 5-hour internal talk. My God, that conversation lasted for 5 hours. That should have been a 5-second conversation. Confirmed. A mutual agreement to part ways has now been considered. Once Joel Glazer approves the decision, it will be confirmed and announced by Manchester United. A media update on that. He's just tweeted this only 5 minutes ago. Manchester United are working on the compensation and the written agreement with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's going to be a mutual agreement to part ways, which is him being sacked. It's just how they labeled it. As reported before, Solskjaer will leave. It is over. The official statement is expected in the next hours, and with Fabrizio Romano, that could probably mean tomorrow. I imagine it will be tomorrow. It won't be tonight. Once the paperworks are completed. Now let's head over and let's read through the full story on the Guardian website here. And I'm going to do this on the Guardian website. I'm going to do this on Manchester Evening News. And I'm going to do this on The Athletic to bring you the full story. Okay, let's run through it all together. Manchester United's board have decided to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at an emergency meeting on Saturday night. A meeting which lasted several hours was called after the team's 4-1 defeat to Watford. The plan is for an announcement to avoid describing Solskjaer as sacked and refer to a mutual agreement. That doesn't really matter, really. Let's be honest, he's being sacked. Solskjaer admitted after a 4th defeat, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's skip on from that one. Let's go over to The Athletic and see what they are saying on this situation. Manchester United have decided to part company with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This is coming from Laurie Whitwell and Adam Crafton. Manchester United have decided to part company with Solskjaer. The Athletic understands that after talks on Saturday evening, hours after United's defeat to Watford, the Glazer family decided that the club would begin negotiating the precise terms of his departure. The club are determined to ensure Solskjaer receives a respectful parting, with a formal announcement expected in due course. If the Glazers gave a shit about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer getting a respectful parting, they would have done it after City. That game tonight was inevitable against Watford. After the spiraling tailspin that Manchester United were in, if they really cared about a respectful parting, they would have sacked him after City. Instead, that game happened there. Let's see what else is being said. It is possible that Darren Fletcher will be placed in charge on an interim basis. He could be assisted by Michael Carrick, whose position at the club remains intact as of Saturday night, with sources suggesting the pair will be part of the structure to tide United over if no immediate solution is found. So they're saying here, what's your immediate reaction to that? Darren Fletcher on an interim basis. Now, before you all lose your shit, promoting an interim manager from within is quite a standard practice when it comes to sacking managers. What the problem here is that Manchester United should already have had these conversations with everything that has been happening with Solskjaer, that it wouldn't really require us to go for Darren Fletcher. We could have had Darren Fletcher on an interim basis for 2 weeks in the international break. That's why I'm pissed off, and that's why I'm angry with everything that has happened. I've said this all along. I didn't want Manchester United to be descending into panic after Watford. The panic should have happened inside the club after City. Instead, we doubled down. We buckled down on the fact that Solskjaer will turn it all around. Don't worry, we've got it right. You didn't get it right. You got it wrong. We all knew we got it wrong after City, but the club didn't admit it until now. And now we're seeing the fallout from it. Let's head over to the Manchester Evening News and see what they're saying about it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer set to be sacked by Manchester United, writes Samuel Luckhurst. Let's scroll down. Let's read the article together. Manchester United are set to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with Darren Fletcher poised to take temporary charge. Manchester Evening News understands that club executives decided they must act now. Oh, it's amazing. You could have done it after City. in the wake of the humiliating 4-1 defeat on Saturday, and the technical director, Fletcher, could be in charge for the Villarreal game, expected to be assisted by Michael Carrick, who somehow seems to be surviving Mourinho and Solskjaer. Multiple sources have confirmed to the Manchester Evening News that United will sack Solskjaer. United are finalising the compensation package of around 7.75 million. Fletcher was in the dugout for the Watford game. United have downplayed speculation linking Zinedine Zidane with the manager's role and have suggested the Zidane links have been a tactic to appease an increasingly frustrated Cristiano Ronaldo. What's your reaction to that in the comments? That'll be an interesting talking point that we can get into as the stream goes on. Blah, blah, blah. Ronaldo played with Zidane. The timing of Solskjaer's expected removal will raise further questions about the running of Manchester United by the owners, the Glazer family, outgoing executive Ed Woodward, and his expected replacement, Richard Arnold. You're goddamn right it will. Absolutely will. The way that this has unfolded, I know it's never good when a manager doesn't succeed and a manager is sacked. But the way that this has happened at Manchester United with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's been humiliating beyond belief. Like, it didn't need to be this humiliating. It was already humiliating enough after Liverpool, losing 5-0 to your biggest rivals at Old Trafford. It could have happened after that, and nobody really would have batted an eyelid after being beaten by Liverpool at Old Trafford. Instead, United doubled down and backed Solskjaer. And then City happened 2 weeks later. We were told we were going to get a response, and the response never happened. 2 weeks later, the City game happened. And then we're thinking, oh, surely it's inevitable after that. But instead, the Glazers, Ed Woodward and Richard Arnold sat on their goddamn hands, did nothing, and let it continue. Let Solskjaer go to Norway for a week, have a little time out with the family, while the players, you don't need to come in for training, have a little bit of time off. And now, after Watford, after being humiliated again for the 3rd time in a row in the Premier League, we decided to act and do it. It really is a case of better late than never, but Christ almighty, it did not need to be this late. Manchester United have made this more of a humiliation and more of a palaver than it needed to be. And now we're sitting here, the Manchester United are going to be having Darren Fletcher in charge. You let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Let's go back to the Manchester Evening News' article. The Manchester Evening News revealed this week that United Suits had decided a change of manager would be required and started the process of identifying his successor. I mean, yeah, I don't really care about that. I don't really care about anything really, apart from the fact that the board has just been bullshit. And I don't say that lightly. The way that they have acted here is abysmal. It's negligent. It goes to show that they just cannot make a decision. It's like they were so scared of making the wrong decision by sacking Solskjaer and bringing someone in that they just did not make a decision. And that's the situation that we've been sat in, and that's the situation we were forced in. What's your immediate reaction to everything that's happened tonight? You let me know in the comments, and I will try and read out as many of your opinions as I possibly can during this stream. Danny, you're coming in straight away and saying, can we all please just say a thank you to Ole for the job he's done up to now? He's a legend and always will be. Danny, I'm not going to get into that during this stream, but I will be doing a video on that, and I'm going to do a very special video on that because I feel quite strongly about that, and I don't want that to get lost in the narrative of the fact that everything has been humiliating for the last couple of months. I stand by the fact that Solskjaer has done a lot of good at Manchester United and will leave the club in a much better state than when he found it. Nothing right now with our football results will change that, in my opinion. But look, go down here. As I said, it's confirmed. It's not official by the club, but Manchester United have decided to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Fabrizio Romano confirming tonight. Simon Stone from the BBC. Laurie Whitwell and Adam Crafton from The Athletic. Samuel Luckhurst from Manchester Evening News. When it comes to stories like this that all get, happens at once and all the journalists come out, that's when you know it is true, it is factual, it has happened. And it has happened. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has not yet been officially sacked, but the decision has been made. Going into Fabrizio Romano's further words, Manchester United are working on that compensation and the written agreement with Solskjaer. It's going to be a mutual agreement. As I said, a mutual agreement is a sacking. It's a polite sacking. It's a PR sacking. It's a sacking without it officially being called a sacking. Official statement is expected in the next few hours once the paperwork is done. So presumably that paperwork is all to do with the compensation package. But what comes next, Dave? We've got Villarreal in a couple of days. What's your reaction to Darren Fletcher, right? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to do a video tomorrow morning on Darren Fletcher as an interim manager. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow afternoon because maybe tomorrow morning is going to be the actual official announcement and statement from Manchester United about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. but think it's going to be a rapidly developing 24, 36 hours that we've got before Manchester United fly out to Villarreal. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will not be in charge for that. Let me know what you think about everything that's unfolded with Manchester United tonight. What's your reaction about, how the board has gone about it? What's your reaction to how long it's taken? What's your reaction to everything? You let me know in the comments below. And I will try and read out all your comments. Like Gerald, he's in a chirping mood. Now sack Sam from here, another fake fan. Thank you very much, Gerald. I really appreciate your comment there, man. Really do. I thought I'd pull that out. A manager should have been lined up weeks ago, says Ben. United are a laughing stock all over, Ben. It's something I absolutely firmly believe is that Manchester United should have done this over the international break. What we could have done over that international break, instead of it being a situation where we sat here for 2 weeks and we didn't know what was going on, I proactively started to look, and I stood by the fact that I did those videos, and lo and behold, I've been proven correct. Manchester United have panicked, shat themselves, and hit the panic button tonight after the Watford game. They should have done that after the City game and given themselves a 2-week leeway, a 2-week window without football where they could have planned. Hell, even if it was Fletcher in the interim, they would have given him an opportunity and a chance to settle, to understand it, blah, blah, blah. Instead, they're throwing it straight in the deep end in what is a crucial Champions League game against Villarreal. It didn't need to be this way. It did not need to be this way. It didn't need to break down in the way it's broken down. It didn't need to happen in the way that it has happened. It's Manchester United just cannot do things right. Adrian, you're saying the board are a disgrace, dragging on this decision that could have been made during a 2-week international break. Jesus, pathetic board. Thank you, Ole, for what you've done. Where do we go now? God only knows. Hey, man, I share your sentiment there, Adrian. We don't know what comes next. Now, if you want to speak about Zinedine Zidane, there's going to be plenty of stories at break, like this one from Alex Crook from TalkSport, saying that talks have now taken place between Manchester United and Zidane's representatives, which goes completely against what Samuel Luckhurst is saying, that the Zidane stories are all sort of to appease Ronaldo in the press. And I don't really understand. The Zidane story, it's all speculation. It still remains speculation around Zinedine Zidane. But it really sounds like Darren Fletcher is going to be in charge. What's your, I know I've said it about 3 times now, but what's your reaction to that? What are your hopes and expectations about that? Do you think that we can have, is it going to be Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick in charge for the game against Villarreal? Is it going to be for the game against Chelsea? Or is it a case that we're going to get someone in? What happens now? Is it going to be someone on a short-term basis until the summer? Or is it going to be Fletcher and Carrick holding on to the reins until the summer? Because maybe it's going to be the same sort of situation as happened with Solskjaer. Remember this, right? When Mourinho left and Solskjaer came in as a caretaker manager. He had a storm in 3 months. It was brilliant to watch. He was given the contract on a permanent basis. And I've just thought about this right now, but Jesus Christ, it better not happen. But what if Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick do the same thing again? Manchester United have a storming 3 months, and all of a sudden, there's talks that maybe Darren Fletcher should be getting a job on a permanent basis. That cannot happen. That better not happen. I will lose my shit if that happens. I swear to God. But I'm going to go down here. I'm going to read a few of your comments out. Andrew, you think it's going to be Fletcher for Villarreal and then appoint someone for Chelsea? Let's see what goes on there. But Manchester United at this point, with the squad that we have, we cannot just look internally. It's in the same way that when we got a director of football, right? We were looking for one for like a year, 2 years, and when we appointed from within with John Murtough. We can't do the same thing with replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We have to get a proper best in class. With the squad that we have to go elite. We have to go elite. It has to be top level. And that's why someone like Darren Fletcher can't be considered. That's why it has to be someone like Zinedine Zidane. It has to be someone like Erik ten Hag. I would personally say that Brendan Rodgers is a bit of a sidestep from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. An upgrade for sure, but only 1 or 2 steps up that ladder. Not enough to get United where we need to be. That's my own personal opinion and immediate reaction on that. Other than that, you've got Pochettino. If you want to throw his name about, he's being linked with a job, but obviously he's a PSG boss, and let's see what goes on there. Fletcher until we figure it out properly, says Gary. Ismail, you'll say Darren Fletcher, then get Ten Hag next season. Look, when it comes to Darren Fletcher, as I said, do you really think there's a possibility now? We've got to consider it. We've got to have a conversation. You think there's a possibility now that Fletcher comes in and has a storm in 3 months and gets a job on a permanent deal? Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Steve, you're saying get rid of the backroom staff as well. Our training system is utter shit. I mean, you can't really argue with that. Johnny, you're saying, I can't believe Fletcher and Carrick. It's a joke. As I said, I'm not surprised. I don't think anybody can be surprised if it's going to be a proper interim manager. The concept of an interim manager, let's remember, is someone who is there for a very short period of time. Somebody who is there for a week or 2 weeks, quite literally in an interim period, the period between sacking a manager and getting a new manager in. That's what an interim manager is supposed to do. No more than a couple of games. And in that sense, it doesn't really matter whether it's Fletcher or Carrick, because it couldn't really, let's be completely honest here, it couldn't be any worse than what we've seen against Liverpool City and Watford. So in the interim, if it's Fletcher and Carrick, maybe we'll start doing, I don't care really, it's just a couple of games. The more important thing is who comes next. Gary Brown, you're saying we have to go elite. It's something I completely agree with here. Daniel saying, imagine if Zidane goes to PSG and Poch comes here. You can't rule it out. And JB, you know what I think about Ralph Rangnick. If we're looking at interim managers, a proper interim manager until the summer, Ralph Rangnick is somebody that we simply cannot ignore. Kathy, you reminded us all here that after Moyes, we had Ryan Giggs for a couple of games. You're right about that one. Dennis, you're saying we need an elite coach. I'm sick and tired with all these trial coaches. Hey, we've had Solskjaer learning on the job. We've had Carrick learning on the job. Fletcher learning on the job. Murto learning on the job. Richard Arnold learning on the job. Ed Woodward not doing a job. And the Glazers being the goddamn Glazers. It's serious, eh? Danny, you're saying, don't think Zidane will come by. I hope he will. Ryan, you're saying, I'm with you. Darren, even though he even gets the thought of having a job on a permanent basis, I will lose my mind too. I don't even want to speak about it, but I've just thought about it there live on the stream. And it's giving me the shits. I've literally shat myself. I haven't actually shat myself, but I would do if Fletcher got the job on a permanent basis. Why don't we go for Whacking Low? Whacking Low? I call him Whacking Low because of Whacking Phoenix. I spoke about that earlier. Being too stubborn to change, says Benny, and ask for support for the right people and relying on the wrong players cost Ole his job. We'll speak about that in separate videos. Saar, what are you saying? You said, Sam, we've got big games coming quick and fast. Who is suitable at this crucial moment? The problem here, Saar, is this. Manchester United are now in panic mode. Manchester United are a hungry stoner in the supermarket, and everything looks appealing. Biscuits in the get in the basket, crisps in the basket, pizza in the basket, chip in the basket, everything in the basket. That's what we are like right now because we've left it to the point where we're panicking after Watford. Didn't need to be this way. We should have done it after City, man. We should have done it after City. It frustrates me. It angers me that we haven't. But here we are. I had said that I don't think it was going to be a case of how a Watford game is going to change the board. I also didn't think we're going to get pumped 4-1. Oh, man, it is what it is. I'm going to head up here, see if there's many comments. There's a few super chats coming in. Sorry if I'm missing any super chats. Let's have a look. Al, there you go. Such a shame to end like this. Always will be a legend, mate. You know he will. Solskjaer will be a legend. And it's something that I will cover, as I said, in detail in my videos. But let's go back here. Let's talk about the news in a bit more detail. And I'm going to head over here. This is another rapidly developing story, and I will bring you the updates as and when it happens. Let's go over here. Let's pull this up on screen, and let's run through it together. Let's go. Let's see what the latest is. Darren Fletcher is set to take charge of Manchester United against Villarreal. That's coming from The Telegraph. So we've got The Telegraph saying Fletcher. We've got Manchester Evening News saying Fletcher. It seems like Fletcher is going to be the person who comes in on an interim basis. Julian Lopetegui, I don't know how to pronounce his name, is a potential option for United, say The Athletic. Alternatively, an interim appointment could be made with Laurent Blanc, a possibility in this regard. So Laurent Blanc is a name that is getting banded around and added here. Reports suggesting that Zinedine Zidane is in line to imminently replace Solskjaer at Manchester United are wide of the mark. At this particular, as I said, at this particular moment in time, the Zidane stories are speculation. I don't know whether they're going to remain speculation, but at this moment in time, it's speculation, right? So with Zidane, don't think that anything is massively imminent with Zidane. It's kind of what I've said the whole way through. Of course, that can change. We can't rule out any manager really at this point in time. We can't rule out Zidane. You can't rule out Blanc. You can't rule out Rangnick. You can't rule out Rodgers. You can't rule out Ten Hag. You can't rule out anybody. It just seems that Manchester United are getting rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and they're going to bring in Darren Fletcher on an interim basis. Fabrizio Romano, this is all the stories that we've just read there. Working on a compensation package. You've got Di Marzio saying that Laurent Blanc is also an option for the interim role. That's coming around. Manchester, Jacobs Ben, who do you write for? Is that The Telegraph? Let's have a look. He writes for CBS. Okay, right. So he writes CBS out in America. Manchester United have made contact with multiple candidates prior to the Watford loss, including Erik ten Hag and Maurizio Pochettino. Go down here. A formal announcement is expected in due course. So I would expect now, ladies and gentlemen, for tomorrow morning to be when we get the official proper announcement about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? It seems like that's going to be the case. I don't think it will happen tonight. I didn't think that this would happen tonight, if I was being completely honest. And that's why I went out and actually went to a comedy club and I had to run back from it. And it wasn't that funny. It actually was quite funny, but United are not funny at the moment at all. But you would expect this to be in the morning. Jack saying, do they sack Carrick? What we're seeing actually is that Carrick maintains and retains support. Let's go over to the Athletic article here and read this bit here. It is possible that Darren Fletcher could be placed in charge on an interim basis. He could be assisted by Michael Carrick, whose position at the club remains intact as of Saturday night. Now, this is something I've said, and I've said quite firmly. Manchester United, when we part ways with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we have to part ways with Michael Carrick, and we have to part ways with Kieran McKenna, and we have to part ways with Mike Phelan. This is not a situation where when we went from Mourinho to Solskjaer, Carrick and McKenna were brought through and they were kept with him. And that's because Solskjaer didn't have a coaching setup with him. It was Solskjaer being brought into a job because United needed to sack Solskjaer and we needed to sack Mourinho, and we got Solskjaer in. He didn't have a coaching staff. That's why McKenna and Carrick were kept. Now, with Solskjaer being sacked, we cannot keep McKenna and we cannot keep Carrick. That's two managers that they've been involved with in two situations that just haven't worked. It's simple as that. They have to go at the same time. That's not being harsh. That's me being realistic about moving forward properly. It's not about, it's like when Ralph Ragnick's saying you're not just pregnant, you're not a little bit of pregnant. It's like when you press, you press. You don't do a little bit of pressing. When you sack, you don't do a little bit of sacking. You sack, you close the book on one chapter and you open another one, a fresh start. Now, maybe that's not going to be the case in the interim. Maybe that's going to be a case of McKenna and Carrick and Phelan stay on whilst Fletcher is in charge, which should only be for a couple of games. We're talking we're definitely talking Villarreal, and you might be talking Chelsea. Then, of course, if we look at the fixtures, let's go see what's coming up next for Manchester United. I think we've got Arsenal after that, but we've got a midweek game. No, it's actually Arsenal midweek, isn't it? We've got Arsenal, I believe, the following Tuesday or Wednesday, a really weird, like 8:15 kickoff at Old Trafford. Let's go here and let's see what the fixtures are like. I'll put them up on screen for you, and we can have a look at maybe who comes in and when. But let's say that Darren Fletcher is going to come in on an interim basis. We are looking here at these games. We are looking at Manchester United's next three games as Villarreal on Tuesday. Then we've got Chelsea on Sunday and Arsenal on the Thursday, the 2nd of December. And then it just starts getting crazy. Game in 3 days, game in 3 days, game in 3 days, game in 3 days. Back to back to back to back. If you're looking at a new manager coming in for Manchester United, you probably want that manager to come. What would help a new manager is coming in at the right time. And coming in at a time like that when you've got Crystal Palace at home, Young Boys at home, Norwich away, Brentford away, Brighton at home, Newcastle away, Burnley at home, Wolves at home, Villa away. That's the sort of time you want to bring in a new manager. You don't really want to bring a new manager in for Chelsea away and Arsenal at home. I mean, Arsenal at home would be an all right game, but not Chelsea away. I think it will be Darren Fletcher on an interim basis, probably until after Chelsea away. And then it will be a new manager coming in for either Arsenal or Palace. They're the two games really that we're looking at. I'm going to head down to the comments here and read a few of your opinions out. If you're new here on United People's TV, please drop a like on the video and subscribe. It's been an exhausting day. I'd love to have you as part of the United People's TV family. AH Rainey, you're saying get Roy Keane on a temporary basis. It won't happen, man. Anybody saying Roy Keane really isn't thinking properly, and that's probably being a bit rude there, but it's true. You're not thinking properly if you think Roy Keane can come into this and help Manchester United. I love the guy as a pundit, but as a manager, I'm not sure that he's... Yeah, no. Callum, you're saying we can't look forward with the current coaching staff if results don't improve in the interim. How can we hope to recruit an elite coach? We need an experienced coach to kickstart the results. And the interim should only be on a temporary basis. Next couple of games. So if that's going to be Fletcher, that's going to be Fletcher. Jonathan, how do you work out a new manager coming in after 2 games? Nobody is available. Look, mate, as I said, I'm speaking purely hypothetically here. I don't know what this situation is. Is it a case of are we looking at Darren Fletcher as an interim manager until the new year? Am I being wrong here? Let me know in the comments below. If so, Darren Fletcher on an interim basis, you let me know now in the comments when you genuinely think that's an interim until. Do you think that's going to be Darren Fletcher in for a couple of games? Do you think that's going to be Darren Fletcher in for a couple of months? Do you think that's going to be Darren Fletcher in until the summer? When do you think Darren Fletcher is going to be in charge of Manchester United until? You let me know that in the comments below. Al, you're saying whoever we get full time. It shouldn't be anyone with any connection to the club. We need that separation. That's obviously something that we've all been stung by right now with Solskjaer, and it's quite easy to say that. I wouldn't say that you can. No, actually, no. I would. I would say you can rule out anybody linked with the club, but then at the same time, I wouldn't rule Laurent Blanc out for that reason. But it's odd. Let me see what you're thinking about here. Bradbury, you're saying 2 to 3 games top for Darren Fletcher. Carl, you're saying 2. Alien, you're saying, oh my God, Fletcher until the end of the season. I don't know when Fletcher would be, but Chris, you're saying he probably will get until the end of the season. Maybe until Christmas, says Boris. Not that Boris. Let's go here. Fergie for a couple of games, says Edwards. No, it won't be Fergie. It's going to be Fletcher. All right. Nidge, you think it's 1 game, Fletcher until January, says Wesley. Why is it Fletcher taking off and not Carrick? Look, and that says, by the way, that says everything about Michael Carrick that you need to know. If Darren Fletcher is appointed as Manchester United's manager after Michael Carrick has been assistant for years under Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if you then overlook him and bring Fletcher in as the interim, it goes to show that the club just does not have the trust in Carrick to do that job. And therefore, you have to relieve Carrick of that job. Simple as that. Bring David Moyes back, says Marwan. You're feeling in a right chipper, hilarious mood tonight, you bastard. Doesn't Carrick have more coaching experience than Fletcher? Yes, he does. But really, have we seen any sort of coaching with Manchester United? No, Fletcher, says Russ. Well, it's going to be by the looks of it. Alan, you're saying whoever we bring in after Solskjaer and Fletcher will most likely be someone who doesn't want to ruin the egos of the Glazers. Well, that's been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and that experiment ultimately has not worked out here. Arthur, you're saying Ralph Ragnick as an interim. Hey, look, man, we all agree here on United People's TV that would be a fantastic appointment. It really would be. We all know that. But as it stands, we've seen nothing here to really suggest that Ralph Ragnick is properly linked to this job, other than speculation, really, and other than the videos, I suppose, I've done, following up on this speculation. Going over here, what's going on here? Solskjaer leaving the airport. I don't know what that is. Sorry, I'm putting up, as I said, it's live and direct. Again, Lopetegui, I don't know how to say his name. I'm going to call him Julian. Is a potential option, says The Athletic. Solskjaer pictured leaving Manchester Airport tonight. Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick are expected to be involved in an interim setup, and that's coming from Paul Hurst from The Times. Let's go down here. Yeah, it's all the stories that we're seeing. That Solskjaer's leaving the airport. Yep, that's him leaving the airport. Oi. Mate, what, United are an absolute goddamn joke, aren't we? Goddamn joke. We can't. It's the board. It's the board. It's how the board acts or doesn't act. It's what we've seen for a long time, and what we're witnessing now is a really brutal. Compare it to what Spurs did, right? Compare it to what Spurs did with Nuno. It was after that game against United, there were murmurs. Boom, he was sacked. Boom, Antonio Conte was in within like 72 hours. It's how clubs act. It's how clubs need to act. Norwich, Daniel Farku, Dean Smith, boom. Few days, done and dusted. Maybe a little bit more than a few days. But they knew what they were doing. Manchester United here, what we've done after Watford is we've hit the ejector seat. And now we have no one driving the car. Ole's not at the wheel anymore. No one's at the goddamn wheel. We're joyriding without a driver. And it's supposed to be the board that are directing this. It's supposed to be them that are helping Manchester United navigate this situation. Instead, they're making it 10 times worse. It looks like it's going to be Darren Fletcher and it's going to be Michael Carrick for the interim. I don't mind that. Of course I mind it, but when it comes to interim appointments, a lot of them always do happen from within. So that's not too much of a surprise, ladies and gents, right? The bigger anger I've got is the fact that this is happening after Watford and not happening after City. I mean, Jesus, Danny, you're joking, but I could probably do a better goddamn job than a lot of this board. Seriously, they haven't got a clue, says Andrew. You're not wrong there, man. You're not wrong there. Stop posting anything on here until he's sacked, says Gozy. My God, some people do some mad comments on here. It is a piss take. The board is a circus full of clowns. It has been discussed in how it's happened, and I didn't want Solskjaer to become this villain when he's not the villain, man. He's not the villain, but the football's just been undefensible. Absolutely undefensible? Indefensible. You can't defend it. Man United can't defend. Jeez. But it looks like Fabrizio Romano is saying Carrick and Fletcher as well. So we can pretty much here confirm that it's going to be Darren Fletcher coming in on an interim basis, and it's going to be Michael Carrick, who somehow is Manchester United's assistant manager for the third manager after doing it under Jose Mourinho and doing it under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That interim manager needs to be on an interim basis. And I mean interim. I mean start of 2022, you want someone coming in. But then who do you get in? This is United are now stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do we just give it to Fletcher and just do this? Just pray that somehow Fletcher works out as a manager. I've got no doubt in my mind whatsoever that Fletcher is a good person to listen to, someone that maybe can inspire younger kids. I'm sure he can, but can he be Manchester United manager? No, you can't just, you don't just walk in and become Manchester United manager and it all works. We've seen that, right? We've seen a past it Mourinho try it. We've seen it, an experienced and old head in Van Gaal try it, but clashing with the United way with his own stubborn style. We've seen Moyes come in and try to be Fergie, and just that was just a calamity. And then we've seen Solskjaer come in, do a different angle, work for a bit, but then reached a plateau. And when he reached the plateau, it all went wrong. But when Moyes was sacked, it was the last few games of the season. When Van Gaal was sacked, it was the end of the season. When Mourinho was sacked, Solskjaer came in on an interim basis and he took the job on a permanent deal. I've got, honestly, like part of me is genuinely shit scared of Fletcher coming in and doing an absolute blinding job for a few months and getting it on a permanent basis. Part of me is terrified, absolutely terrified about that idea. Because trust me, there will be people in the board that if Fletcher does what Solskjaer did in those first couple of months, they will be pushing that idea. Because he will suit the Glazers. He will suit the board. He will suit everything, apart from the fact that he's not that world-class manager who can come in and take a squad that's got Ronaldo, Varane, Sancho, Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood, Pogba, Martial, and take it where it deserves and it needs to be. All right? I'm so boring, says John. You keep saying interim. Interim. Fletcher on an interim basis. I'm bringing you, John, the news. So stop being 11. Let's go down here. Fletcher is a joke. Martin, you're saying, what can Fletcher bring? Fletcher will bring something that's different to Solskjaer, and that's the only thing that we know he can bring. When it comes to that, it reached a point where Solskjaer simply needs to be relieved of his duties. It was as simple as that. We all knew that, and that is what has happened. Ryan Giggs could be interim manager. Giggs not going to be our interim manager, all right? Simple as that. Laurent Blanc, I'm seeing that name coming on. I don't know. Liam saying, we need someone who has the balls to change things, because there are more than a handful of players that need to go with Ole. Now, it's at this point here where obviously a lot of hate's going to start going towards the players. And as I said, I think that's slightly fair, but also at the same time, the players are symptomatic of Manchester United at the moment. So I wouldn't put too much scorn on the players. I think we've got a top quality squad there. It's one of the best squads we've had in a long, long time. And a good manager will be able to bring more out of that. Sar, what you're saying, sir? If you were given the chance to make one call at a crucial moment like this, who will it be and why it's so crucial? Jesus Christ, man, it's a ridiculous question. As I said, straight off the top of my head, I would say Ralf Rangnick. I can see something with Rangnick that marks not only a smart short-term solution for Manchester United with an experienced man who's worked at every level inside a football club, has experience of modernising clubs, has experience of working with big squads in pressure situations. Ralf Rangnick has done it, and he's got so much experience at it. And if you're looking at a short-term interim appointment, the amount of stability that he could bring to our club between now and the summer could be phenomenal, could be utterly phenomenal. I'm not saying that Rangnick's going to make us incredible, but the job of an interim manager is not to make us incredible. The job of an interim manager is to come back, put the wheels back on the car, and make sure that it's drivable for when the new manager comes in. I think Rangnick could do that better than anybody else. From what I've seen, from the options that I have seen, I would say Rangnick. And then I would say Ten Hag in the summer. It seems like it seems too idyllic. It seems too perfect. That's probably why Manchester United won't do it. But if I'm being completely honest, that would be my choice. Off the top of my head, that would be my choice. Adam, you're saying we need someone who can give the hairdryer treatment to the players and not letting players get away with silly defensive mistakes. Adam, there's not to say that Solskjaer didn't try and give the hairdryer treatment. He just couldn't do it, eh? Let's go down here. Check the updates. Let's go and see what else is happening on the updates. Maybe there's more to speak about. Right, okay. Oh, okie dokie. Right, that is a big one. Thank you very much, Josh. Cheers for that, buddy. We've got Fabrizio Romano here saying something extremely, extremely important. Mike Phelan will leave Manchester United with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's saying that live on his Twitch here. That is a big, big update, and that is an absolute necessity for Manchester United. I will say it, and I've said it all along. I think Mike Phelan, remember this. Mike Phelan was the first person that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer called when he got that job. He was the first person he called, and he was brought in. And I think Mike Phelan did a good job with Solskjaer in the start of re-establishing certain cultures and values that just weren't at Manchester United anymore. Not in that Manchester United team. And I think he was good at doing that. But then we reached a plateau, and he was the experienced man. Mike Phelan was the experience in a set of inexperienced coaches in Solskjaer, in McKenna and Carrick and Fletcher. Phelan was supposed to be the person that everybody looked up to and spoke to. And he did not do that job. Mike Phelan, I'm happy that he is leaving. I'm happy about that. As I said, when it comes to sacking a manager, you have to sack the manager and his staff as well. It can't just be a some in and some out. You can't just be a little bit sacked. It has to be sacked, and that involves Mike Phelan. So Fabrizio Romano, they're saying on his Twitch live that Mike Phelan is going. That is a really important aspect of all of this, and I'm happy about that. What's your reaction to that in the comments? You let me know. Who does that mean comes in as the assistant? Well, it looks like it's going to be, as I said, Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick. But wow, man, what a 24 goddamn hours this has been. Jesus. Manchester United didn't need to do this. We did not need to do this. We could have gone into that Watford game with a different manager in charge. We could have gone into that Watford game in a very, very different place. Instead, Manchester United waited and waited. And now we've hit the goddamn panic button on a Saturday night. It's midnight, and these stories are coming out about Mike Phelan. That's the sort of panic we're in. Fabrizio Romano here saying Manchester United have taken information on Zinedine Zidane. However, as of now, he is not desperate to return to management. That is the case with Zidane. That's a case that we've always known. It's a case that we've always heard from Zidane. As I've said, Zidane remains speculative only. Even if you want Zinedine Zidane at this particular moment in time, it's speculation. I'll tell you what, there's one thing we haven't heard about, and that will be Kieran McKenna. Kieran McKenna at this particular moment in time is, of course, one of the assistant managers alongside Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Does that mean that he's going to stay in that position with Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick on an interim basis? Or is he going to follow Mike Phelan and leave Manchester United? At this particular moment in time, we don't know that, all right? There's no confirmation of that from anybody. I'm going to keep refreshing. I'm going to keep taking a look at all this news as and when it breaks. But my God, man, geez, what 24 hours. Look, if you are new here, welcome to United People's TV. We're here talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, speaking about Fletcher, speaking about Carrick, McKenna, everything, Phelan. Please, if you're new, drop a like on the video, and please consider subscribing to United People's TV. I'd love to have you on board as part of the family. It's a decent community here, and it's better than Manchester United's football team right now, I'll tell you that. Pranav, you're saying get McKenna and Carrick out too. That's something I do agree with, but as it stands, it looks like Carrick is going to be staying as the assistant manager. Hamza there with a comment saying, Fletcher for me is Ole wearing a money heist mask or a Squid Game mask. Depends what mask you want. Look, Fletcher on an interim basis, I understand. I understand that Manchester United needed to sack Solskjaer, but they need to do that after. I understand Fletcher as an interim manager now. I don't understand the fact that it's needed to happen. Fletcher should have been the interim manager after City, and therefore we would be in a position now where we didn't need to have Fletcher in for the game against Villarreal. But instead, we've got a situation where we're going to have Fletcher in against Villarreal. Shouldn't be a situation that Manchester United are in, but it is the situation that Manchester United are in. And in this particular circumstances, I understand Fletcher as an interim manager. But there has to be a proper interim manager. I'm talking short term, man. I'm not talking about keeping Fletcher until the end of the season. United can't panic, shit themselves, go sack Solskjaer, get Fletcher in and just go, let's hope it works. Let's hope it works. Let's close our eyes. Let's hope it works. We can't do that. We can't do that. It has to be right. With the squad that we've got, Ronaldo brought an immediacy for success inside this team, right? So you can't just then go and give that to Darren goddamn Fletcher and hope he's going to do something. Gary, what you saying on Facebook? Fletcher, McKenna, and Carrick running the show. Why not let the ball boys and the tea lady in on the act as well? What a circus. Well, I wish I could disagree with that comment there, my friend, but you are not wrong there at all. Sar, you're saying Phelan knows his club well. Is it that he has nothing? He's got nothing to offer. Come on, Sar, he has nothing to offer. Look, if Mike Phelan, as I've said, the coaching situation and the abomination of our coaching, it comes down to, in my opinion, it comes down to Mike Phelan. He's the experienced head that should have been telling Solskjaer, mate, you got to change something. If Solskjaer couldn't see the trees, forest in the trees, whatever that saying is, if he couldn't look up because he was head down into the game, Phelan should have been the experienced man to pull him to the side and said, you know what, it's not working with these coaches. We need to get something different in. He didn't do that. He's part of the problem. Phelan is going, and I think Phelan should be going as well. That's absolutely the right thing to do. So Fabrizio Romano confirming that. Let me go down here, and Jonathan, I wish. Mate, 7 months ago, we were here celebrating the resignation of Ed Woodward like it was going to be a momentous occasion. And here we are 7 months on, talking about the shit stain that he is and the decisions that he is stinking Manchester United out with. Still 7 months on. Let me go down here. I'm going to keep reading a few of your comments out. George saying, can we have a little bit of respect for Solskjaer, mate? Don't worry about that. I'm going to be doing a video specifically about that. Look, I genuinely am. I'm a bit heartbroken at the fact that this has all happened in the way that it has happened for Solskjaer. He didn't deserve this end. He didn't need to have this end. It would have been a far better and cleaner exit after City. It would have been a far even better and cleaner exit after Liverpool. Instead, the club said, you know what? No, we won't be proven wrong. And the stubbornness, the sheer stubbornness and arrogance of our board and Ed Woodward to say, no, Solskjaer will turn it around. I'll show you. They've now realised after Watford that they can't keep banging that drum. We banged that drum, Mike. We banged that drum after Liverpool. We hit it even harder after City. And now it's burst after Watford. Burst water main. And now we're in sheer panic mode. We're trying to do the stopcock at the front of the house where our house is flooding. The house is on fire. Everything's burning. And now we're sacking Solskjaer. Now we're getting Fletcher in on an interim basis. It is Manchester United. I swear on my life, this would not happen at any other. This would not happen at City. This would not happen at Arsenal, at Chelsea, at Spurs, at Liverpool. This sort of shitstorm would not happen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't think it would. It didn't even happen at Norwich. It didn't even happen at Villa. It didn't. One you couldn't compare it to is Steve Bruce and the manager, and then what was going on with the new owners coming in and him not being sacked. That's the only slight comparison I've got there. But mate. Oh, Jesus. McKenna, as I said, at this particular moment in time, we have to assume that Kieran McKenna is being kept as part of that interim setup. I don't think that would be a very smart thing to do, but I don't think you can rule it out. Go over to see some more updates from Fabrizio here saying Solskjaer will take a break from management after being sacked by Man United. And I've said this before and I stand by this. Let's see what happens next. I think he won't struggle for a job after this. I might be wrong in saying that, but let's see. Pochettino is very appreciated by Manchester United, but he is fully focused on the PSG job. Diego Simeone, no way, untouchable. Absolutely what I said. There's no way that Simeone is going to be leaving Atletico Madrid, so let's not even have that conversation. All right? Let me go down here and see what else you're saying in the comments. Dean, who do you want as manager? As I said, I would personally like to see Ralph Rangnick on a short term until the summer and Ten Hag in a long-term plan. That strikes me as the best long-term plan, both in the short term and the long term. And then moving Ralph Rangnick into a position of footballing power where he can then overlook Ten Hag, use his experience from the management and actually bridge the gap between the football pitch and the board. But it's too idyllic. It clashes too much with the ownership structure and we know it won't happen. And that's why it sounds so goddamn good in our heads, because it would be good. Zidane is favourite, I guess, says Victor. He's not favourite, as I said. There is no particular favourite right now for the full-time job for Manchester United, all right? All we know is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be sacked by the club. That's probably likely to be announced in the morning. And I'll be here on United People's TV live and direct as soon as that news comes out. So you know where to come there. All we know is that Fletcher and Carrick, by the looks of it, are going to be coming in as Manchester United's interim manager. Let me know what you think about that. It's a really odd situation. Interim managers a lot of the times are promoted from within. It's just the fact that this chaos has ensued at Manchester United, but we probably didn't need to get to this situation. But it's just pure panic mode after Watford, and now it's going to be Fletcher for the Villarreal game. Mark, what are you saying here? I don't know where to turn, Sam, but I'd definitely go for Ten Hag at the end of the season, says Mark. I would definitely go for that. I would definitely go for that. Romano said that Conte, blah, blah, what Romano wanted Conte, blah, 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 blah. I can't read that. I really loved it. Lots of you, lots and lots of you coming in with Zidane in the comments. As I said, at this particular moment in time, Zidane is nothing more than speculation. All right. I'm just telling you that. I'm just reporting the news as I see it. So there is no real firm favourite right now as it stands on whether or not Poch is going to come in, or Ten Hag's going to come in, or Zidane's going to come in, or anyone's going to come in. It's got Victorim saying, Sam, how about that Donnie performance? Hope he stays. Funny you should say that, Victorim. Literally right now, this is what Fabrizio Romano said. It depends on the manager. Donny van der Beek wants to be a starter, as we saw there against Watford. Donny van der Beek deserves to be a starter. He was in my starting 11 for the game. He was fantastic. Let's see whether or not he stays at the club. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say that I said it in my match reaction. He's not Roy Keane, but that was a sort of performance that Roy Keane would do. If Roy Keane was to come in now, that's how Roy Keane would have played in that second half, like Van der Beek did. Committed to every tackle, committed to every pass, committed to every ball, angry, shouting, pointing at players, pointing at spaces, leading by example. That's what Van der Beek did in that second half. Fantastic from him. Laurent Blanc says, Donovan, how about him? He's being linked with the job as well. As I said, particular for tonight, let's not focus too much on who the next proper manager is, because let's just have the conversations about Solskjaer being sacked, about Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick. That's step one. Step two, after that, we then look at who comes in on this interim basis. I've already done videos looking at Ten Hag. I've done videos looking at Zidane. I've done videos looking at Ralph Rangnick. And I've run through all of that, okay? So if you want to, please, I think they're quite good. I'm quite happy and proud of those videos. I did a lot of research into them, so you didn't have to. Head over to United People's TV on YouTube and check all those out. In terms of who comes in, we don't know, all right? At this particular moment in time, we don't know. It's going to be a rapidly developing story, and we don't know how long Fletcher's going to be in on an interim basis. As I said, absolutely shitting my pants at the idea that Fletcher comes in, does an absolute blinding job for 3 months and gets it on a permanent basis in the same way that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did. Let's go down here. Danny saying we have a hard few months ahead of us now. Hopefully Zidane will come in, but we have a lot on our plate right now, mate. We absolutely do. Fletcher, you're saying until Kino is his number 2, then Carrick, and get Ten Hag at the end of the season. Gutted for Ole, but it's the end of an era. Bless him. I can't wait to do the video that I want to do and want to do it justice. Hey, look, I'll say this now because there's plenty of you watching. If there's any video editors out there that would like to be part of United People's TV, please hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are always open at @SamPeoples_. I really want to do something really powerful, cinematic, with a real bit of effort. It's going to be paid work. If there's any proper video editors out there that want to be involved in helping me make this Solskjaer video, hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to get you involved. And as I said, it's going to be a pay. I'm not trying to steal your time here. I'm going to pay you for it. All right. Would I take Kino as number 2? Says Jason. I personally think the Kino idea is just it's batshit mental. If I'm being completely honest, I think it's crazy. Roy Keane coming in, but it's no more crazy than Darren Fletcher as interim manager. So again, I can't rule it out. I really can't rule it out. It's crazy. I can't rule anything out right now. It's just that's the situation that Manchester United are in. As I said, you can't rule out any manager from getting it on a permanent basis. We're in a tailspin. We may have now finally made a decision to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but we are still in an utter tailspin as a football club. We don't really know who we know who the interim manager is going to be, right? Darren Fletcher and maybe Michael Carrick. But we don't know who the next manager is going to be. We don't know when that manager is going to come in. We don't know who it should be, who it shouldn't be. Jeez, it's just this sort of panic is unprecedented at a club of Manchester United's magnitude, in my opinion. I might be wrong in saying that. I'm sure you can come here and give me some different answers to that. But what I'm seeing right now is just a club in utter freefall, and it's so painful to watch. And I haven't enjoyed watching United for some time, and I really did not enjoy the downfall of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to this bitter and horrible and humiliating end. Fabrizio here with more updates from his Twitch. Brendan Rodgers is very appreciated by part of the Manchester United board, but he was very clear in his press conference. He wants to stay at Leicester at the moment. as I said, look, I'm sure some of you watched my video that I did on Brendan Rodgers. And by doing that video and by doing the research on Brendan Rodgers, I understood why he would have some support inside Manchester United's board. He's quite an impressive speaker. He's very firm in his own philosophy, in his own ideology, and what he does when he comes into a club and the processes that he has inside his clubs. He knows what works for him, what has worked for him at different clubs, and what he would do at Manchester United if he came in. But for me, Brendan Rodgers is unfortunately a sidestep manager. He's not the manager that's going to take us up to that top level. And I've said this before, and I'll say I'm kind of scared of it in the same way that I'm scared of Fletcher getting the job on a permanent basis if he does well. Brendan Rodgers is basically the Glazers' wet dream of a manager. Somebody who will come into this Manchester United job, be happy to come in and basically just keep Man United as a top 4 cash cow. Brendan Rodgers would do it perfectly and wouldn't get too angry, really, at the fact that he couldn't take it up to the next level. Now, Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted. Let's see what he's saying. As I said, this is a very rapidly developing story, and you're here live and direct here on United People's TV. Fletcher and Carrick are ready as interim solutions as Manchester United manager. They're waiting for the club's final decision. The announcement in place for Solskjaer to be officially fired in the next few hours. I didn't say few, but in the next hours, it's going to be a kind and respectful statement. Fabrizio there confirming everything that he said before. So it's going to be Darren Fletcher and it's going to be Michael Carrick as the interim managers of Manchester United. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Really let me know. Truly, truly let me know what you think. Do you think the Manchester United can now get a sort of an upward turn? That this could be the start of a little bit of a different sort of few weeks for Manchester United? We don't know how long it's going to be for. That's the issue that we've got here. But we've got Villarreal on Tuesday. We've got Chelsea on Sunday. Then we've got Arsenal on Thursday. And then we've got, I think it's Palace. And then we go Palace. And then we play Brentford and Norwich. And that's what happens. But Fabrizio Romano here confirming, absolutely confirming here that it's going to be Fletcher and Carrick on an interim basis. Trevor, nice to see you there. I haven't seen your name before. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, sir. You can say this will be an easy job because of our talent, but after a decade of issues with managers, this will require a master manager. That's a masterful comment there, sir, because it's absolutely spot on. And that's probably my biggest concern, I would say, about Ten Hag. Done a fantastic, fantastic job at Ajax. Nobody will argue that. But he did it inside an environment which is built for the success that he's been allowed to achieve. Well, at Manchester United, it is it's like dropping yourself into, I don't know how to describe Manchester United as a football club, but any manager that comes in does have to be a masterful manager. Mourinho tried it, navigated it, then fell out with the board, and it was horrible. Solskjaer has done it, coming from a different angle completely, and it worked to a point, but then he plateaued because of the quality. So whoever comes in next, they have to somehow navigate that board, their lack of ability as a footballing board, take this squad full of superstars, full of top quality youngsters as well, but that team right now is full of superstars more so than it has been in a long time. Wow, my God, that team that we've got there. Varane, Ronaldo, the top two. You've got Sancho there. You've got so much quality inside that team. Whoever comes in next, my God. And Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick, they're not going to be the ones to get the most out of that team, but they might be the people that can somehow steady the ship a little bit. Michael, nice to see you joining as a member. Make sure if you fancy joining Michael and becoming a member, hit that join button down below. I really would love to get you as part of this family. Jesse, nice to see you there. Saying, hi, Sam. Hoping we get a great turnaround, but I feel gutted for Solskjaer. And, mate, you're not the only one here. I really, really, really am gutted for Solskjaer. I really, for the bottom of my heart, I wanted it to work out for him. And that's probably why I stood and supported him for a little bit longer, maybe than some people did. But now, I lost it after Liverpool. It was after Liverpool. You know that I did my first video saying that Solskjaer should be sacked. That was after Liverpool. And I was proven correct. I don't take any pleasure in that, but it is what it is. Let's go over. There's more updates, mate. This is the madness of it all. It's fucking 12:20 on Sunday morning, and all these stories are breaking. That's the shower of shit that is Manchester United. This shouldn't be happening in the middle of the goddamn night, but it is because it's Manchester United. It wasn't even a late kickoff. It was a 3 o'clock kickoff. Just goes to show this. My God, man. Oh, my God. I'm sick of it. I'm goddamn sick of it. I'm tired, Robbie. I'm tired. I'm a little bit tired, actually. Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick ready as interims. Yeah, we already know that. Ed Woodward is intent on trying to secure Zinedine Zidane. Ed Woodward, get fucked. I don't care what you want. Ed Woodward is intent on trying to secure Zinedine Zidane, and Manchester United would hope to persuade him from Miguel Delaney. Although he is still cool on the idea of taking over at Old Trafford, if that proves to be the case, United may accelerate plans to try and get Ten Hag. So Ten Hag, you know what I think about Ten Hag. My God, I want Ten Hag. Might go over to Holland and start begging him. But yeah, so apparently Woodward is intent. I don't care what I'm intent on Woodward getting the fuck out of Manchester United. Oh, look at that, Blue. It's 11:20 in the morning over in Melbourne. Lovely little morning stream for you. Grab a coffee, says Scott. Looks like you need one. I don't know what I need. I've had a beer. I've had a few beers. I've had a few gins as well. I just need a football club that's got a manager that is capable of getting the most out of this squad. I want a football club that's got a board that knows how to run a football club. Is that really too much to ask? Is that genuinely? Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. I know I've had to go at a lot of entitled fans, but I don't think it's an entitled point of view to want a manager who's good and want a board who know what they're doing inside your football club. Jesus Christ. It's not too much to ask. I don't think so anyway. We've got plenty of you watching from Australia, watching from New York, watching from everyone. Hey, hell, it might be a full lockdown in Netherlands, but people, let's get a party bus over there for Ten Hag. Let's get Ten Hag on it. Let's get Van der Sar on it. Hell, Overmars, you can come too. Don't care. On you come, man. Onto the party bus. Let's go back to Manchester and let's actually start Manchester United as a football club again. Jeez. Jonathan saying, look, we were having the same discussions in a few years' time until these owners are ousted. John, you speak a lot of sense, my friend. You should come over to YouTube and become a mod. But yeah, we will be, my friend. We will be having these same conversations. Repeat. We call it same shit, different toilets. That is what Manchester United are as a football club with the current owners. And that will not change. And as somebody said earlier, with a correct statement and a comment, you need to have a masterful manager coming in. And for me, that's another reason why I like the idea of Ralph Rangnick coming in. He's dealt with plenty of different owners. He dealt with Red Bull coming in and buying 2 different clubs and trying to turn it into a global brand. And he was sporting director of both clubs at the same time. That guy's got experience. And remember from his videos, he was articulating something in a foreign language. Extremely intelligent bloke. Really, really good. And yeah, I do mean same shit, different manager. But let's find out, eh? Let's find out. But it's going to be Darren Fletcher and it's going to be Michael Carrick. Darren Fletcher is going to be manager of Manchester United. Those words I never expected to leave my mouth. Never in a million years. So in the last 7 years, we would have had Ryan Giggs, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Darren Fletcher as managers post-Fergie. My God, what is going on? Oh, Jesus Christ. See if there's anything else developing on this. This is honestly, this has been an absolutely crazy night. And I expect tomorrow's going to be mad. I expect Monday's going to be mad. Then we've got Villarreal on Tuesday. And then we've got Chelsea on Sunday. And this is the out of the frying pan into the fire, man. That's what Manchester United are right now. We didn't need to do the panic like this. We did not need to do the panic like this. Could have done it after City. Had a little bit less panic. Had a little bit more time. Hey, look, Matango, I'm glad I'm making you laugh. I've got a soundboard here. Let me press one of these buttons and see what happens. Well, that was accurate. I haven't actually used that soundboard yet. I was just setting it up. But that pretty much sums Manchester United up. To sum the last few years up, weeks up. What about this one? Yep. That's pretty accurate too. What about this one? Yep. That's pretty accurate too. Ed Woodward. Boo. Fucking boo. Dick. It is craziness. JJ here saying it's craziness, Sam. Really embarrassing for us all. What really has happened over the last 7 years post-Fergie is madness. We are getting laughed at by everyone else. Yeah, we are, man. We really are. It is what it is, but geez. Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick. I don't know what to think about it. What I'll do tomorrow or Monday, I will do a video on Fletcher and Carrick as interim managers. I'll try and find some information, maybe where they've actually been speaking about their own philosophies to football, because Fletcher's done podcasts with Manchester United, I believe. He may have spoken about stuff like that. I'm going to do that so you don't have to. I'll bring in that video, researched video. We are a joke of a club, says Batman. Yep, we are a joke of a club. Look, what I'm going to do now, ladies and gents, I'm probably going to wrap it up. Look, if there's any more comments, is there anything you want me to speak about quickly for the last few minutes? Fire in your questions, fire in your opinions, and fire in your super chats as well. Please support the channel however you can. But the stories, as I quickly round up here, this is it. Fletcher and Carrick are ready as interim managers for Manchester United. They're waiting for the club's final decision. An announcement is in place for Solskjaer to be officially fired in the next few hours. It's going to be a kind and respectful statement. It should be a kind and respectful statement, but the way that Manchester United have done it since City, since Liverpool, has been anything but respectful for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or respectful for Manchester United. It's been bad. It's been terrible. But look, go to bed if you're out in Australia. Enjoy your day. I'll be here in the morning, live and early, with all the news. And when the announcement is official, you know exactly where to come here on United People's TV. Please, ladies and gents, if you are new and you're still here, please consider dropping a like on the video and please consider subscribing. Ah, my God. Fletcher, eh? Fletcher and Carrick. Let's see what goes on next. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's finally going to be sacked by Manchester United. And it really is better late than never, and I wish it wasn't as humiliating as it has been, but that's what happens when your club is run by a bunch of clowns.